Hey, thank you for coming. Welcome. Thursday night, 266. And always in search of awesome. And tonight is no different. My friend Nellie Davis, I consider her, a practitioner of mindfulness. She's also a Summit Salon owner. She's integrated her practice into not only how she lives her life, but as a leader, as a salon owner. You'll find it in her culture. I love to listen to her teach about how it shows up in how she serves people and in the consultation. And I met her about a month or so ago. I was working on some, still am, the top 20 wellness mindfulness series, and she was happened to be in a group, a private Zoom I was doing, and I just loved the energy that she put some comments in the chat box, and we ended up Zooming, and I said, Nellie, come and hang out with us. I'd love my community to really hear what I'm hearing. So, and she's had a heck of a day. She's been out in the world, and she had to get off an airplane and get here in time. So I said to her, no worries that this was worth waiting. So before I bring her on, she is the owner of Outsiders Hair Studio, located in Reno, Nevada. A lot of stuff I hear tell going on Reno up the mountain. What is it? Half hour, 45 minutes or so. I'll ask her in the Lake Tahoe area. Her coach is Sherry Dotter, and I chatted with Sherry to get her experience with Nellie, and that was a beautiful thing. So let me tell you why I invited her to come and hang out with us. She continues to go. It's a small business. She's growing her salon brand. She's up to say 70 grand projecting this year, and you do the numbers on that. It looks like a 25% growth. So she's doing just fine. And I really love the referrals at 16%. Salon New, you add the two numbers together, you have just under 30%. And her rebooks at 71%. So she's making a difference. Her brand is, I call it a pocket of light in Reno as it continues to evolve. And she's going to tell you her story. So I don't want to do anything that's going to take away from that energy. But graduates high school in 05, hair school in 08, opens up her salon in 2011. And in 2019 is the year she comes to Summit. I'll let her tell you about that as well, and her relationship with Sherry. Sherry just had the greatest things to say to share about her. I'm sure you're going to want to follow her. Follow her on her Instagram handle is Outsiders Hair, and I'm loving. The look, the presence, the energy, the vibe, and if you want to, reach out to her after the conversation, and you can direct message her, what have you. But she's in my green room now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go get her talking about her story, and then I'm going to see if I can get her to share a little bit of the secret sauce on how that all works. Hi, Nellie.
Hey, thanks so much for being so patient and having me on tonight. I really appreciate it. Talk about mindfulness in action.
I know. Really. I think we were chatting about that. I think it's situations like this that give us an opportunity to practice what we preach and get centered and stay centered and recenter when we're not. So thank you for doing this. I know it's been a heck of a day for you.
Thank you.
Well, we always like to start with the story, Nellie, and I just love your story, and then we'll get into a conversation as how this is showing up in your business. But who are you, and what got you into the business? The salon business and hairdressing, etc.
Yeah, so I think, from a very young age, I had a teacher that was in 6th grade that asked us as an assignment to write a letter to our adult self. And when we graduated high school, she actually sent out these letters. And so around that time, I opened it up and it said, "Do you still want to be a hairstylist?" And, it just was something that I had always been drawn to. And, so I graduated high school early, went straight to beauty school. I was in the industry for a couple years and had found a salon that I really loved, and it had kind of a, sudden closure. And I thought, well, do I want to continue, searching for a great culture, or do I want to create my own? And, at that point, I was so young, I didn't really know what even salon culture meant or why it would be important. I just knew that at the moment it felt good. And, that I didn't want it to be like anything else. And so once I opened up Outsiders, slowly but surely we've been evolving. And, I think at our core, we've always been about being who we are. And that's really allowed for, over the years, the expression to kind of morph into what it is now.
Yeah. And then you were in biz a few years, came to Summit in 2019, hook up with Sherry. So you're on ramping, and then we have to navigate. It took us about 10 years to get through 2020 with the pandemic, and we're still not done. So stay tuned, more will be revealed. But how was that experience for you, the whole Summit thing?
Well, I think we had mentioned it before, but it was, running a business trial by fire. I had, I just thrust into the beauty industry. I had a independent studio at the time. So everyone was contractors and kind of just came in and did their thing and left. And, I had experienced my first walkout, and, I took that as an opportunity to grow through that challenge and really reevaluate what it was that I wanted from my business, what kind of people I wanted to surround myself with, and, what my role as a salon owner, how I could morph that into more of a mentor.
Yeah.
And so by going to Summit, it was transformative. It really was. Things that I think in the salon industry in general, we are not taught, and to really hold through our value, and, that we don't have to die doing what we love with nothing to show for it. Right. It's like we want to create a quality of life that supports our well-being, doing what we're passionate about, and really supporting the people that are doing this alongside of us.
They say that language is the fingerprints of consciousness, and I love your language, which brings me to my next, question. When you and we just kind of met by accident. You happened to be in a private Zoom that I was doing on mindfulness, and I started reading your comments in the comment box, and then at the end, I think you weighed in a little bit about what your take was, and then you and I ended up doing a private Zoom so that we got to know each other, and that's when I said, we've really never had a conversation about a salon owner that practices this and has brought it into her leadership and her business, and so that's why I really brought you here tonight. Give us, just before we get into that conversation, how did you on-ramp into whatever we want to call this thing, whether it's mindfulness or, coming from a different place? Tell us how that happened.
Well, I think that, just happened organically, that as I started growing on my personal journey through spiritual work, through mindfulness, it started to really kind of just bleed into the work that I was doing, because I wanted to have so much integrity in that it was an expression of my true self. And I think that oftentimes we get caught up in having to keep those separate, and really drawing into wanting to be more authentic in my approach with everything that I do. I needed a way to integrate the two. And so I started offering what I call hair rituals, which is integrative energy work with hair services, and started going into more of that work, and really realizing that the work that we do is beyond just a haircut. We are also having an energetic exchange. And when you look at the levels of burnout and, just the well-being within our industry, it's no surprise, because, we also are not having conversations around what to do with that energy, how to ground ourselves, how to, clear ourselves when we have someone that, maybe, we didn't vibe with. And So, creating a culture around that really prioritizes our well-being and being mindful of the energetic exchange. And so, we really just started having trainings within the studio of how to go deeper with our clients.
Wow. So when you said I started offering that, what my practice to people was, was the offering at first to your team, people that were, I call it working with us, but really people live with us at work, where we spend a lot of
Right.
energy with one another. And so it started with that. And then I loved how you put it, that you cannot not exchange energy. So when you're
Mm-hmm.
serving somebody or working next to somebody, there's energy being exchanged. Great
Mm-hmm.
energy and not so great energy. And as you
Right.
know, to the degree that we're mindful, conscious, aware of it, we have influence on it. We can pivot accordingly. To the degree we're not, and all of a sudden, like you said, we find ourselves in the receiving end of energy. It's bad. I had a friend call it, bad juju. you know,
Right.
and it throws us off. And so, as you began teaching that, what was your people's first impression of that conversation?
Well, I think for me, it was really something that, we kind of had to bridge some language into something that we could comprehend. And, without sounding like too woo woo, it was like, well, it doesn't necessarily matter what you call it. You can call it a vibe, you can call it, a culture, whatever you want to call it. But when you walk into a salon that has that, you feel it. And that's part of that. And so we really had to break it down of like, how can this be approachable in the work that we do for not just our team environment, but also to translate into the clientele. Because when we started, gearing into that, we had a lot of just like, well, what is that? And why do I need it?
Right.
But we started kind of really integrating it in small doses at first. At first we started implementing like, we've noticed that when our clients are having like negative self-talk in the mirror, I then am having that reflected back at me. And at the end of it, I really just don't feel that good. I don't feel good about that offering. And so we started having, a policy, if you want to say, of like only positive self-talk in the salon. We understand that everyone has bad days. We want to honor our humanness in that. But, when we're doing that client work, we really want to be mindful of the conversations that we're having, to be uplifting in our environment, to keep that like a maintained sacred space, if you will.
Yeah, I'm starting to pick up an energy now that I picked up in you, when we started the conversation. And so, language is important. So whether we call it, bringing self-talk, whether it's, healthy, positive, or
Mm-hmm.
not so healthy and toxic or negative, sometimes I'll call it a narrative. The narrative that we're
Right.
bringing into it really kind of, it makes the difference of our presence. I think that was one of the things we
Yes.
chatted about on Zoom was not just being present, but the energy that comes through. And really, when I'm in front of you, it's let's get way more intentional about
Mm-hmm.
that, and
Yes.
so that we can influence the energy rather than being influenced by the energy. And that's
Right.
what I loved about our conversation.
Mm-hmm. And it's a fine line, I think, of, being in the service industry versus giving an act of service. And that's how I really like to identify the work that we do is in service. And, so we started offering, instead of a traditional consultation, which is equally important, of having a sense of intention setting. What is your intention for this time that we're going to share together? Because oftentimes, it is a ritual. We're building this relationship with people where they see us sometimes more than their family or their friends. So if they're spending hours of their month or their day with us, let's really get in there and support you in all the ways that you need. Because a great haircut can only go so far. But, when you really touch people's lives in the way that they feel fully supported, that's what's going to be a residual partnership in your client work. And, so sometimes people will come in and say, oh, I would just want to shave my hair off. Okay, well, what are the things that are coming up for you in your life that is, provoking this change? Oh, well, I just broke up with my boyfriend. Okay, well, this gives me a little bit more insight as to where we can go with this session today. And I think we all have that ability to really connect. I think we wouldn't be doing this if we didn't,
Right.
but it's like, how do we connect in a way that is meaningful, and the conversation, the language does matter. And, just even when we have clients that we call it kind of like dumping, where they just like dump emotional burdens on us, because we have those tight knit relationships with our folks. Not taking that on, but also, asking them of what's coming up for them in that moment, and, and how they can support them. And also drawing a clear boundary that we are not therapists,
right.
And knowing when to protect our energy to be able to, recommend them to the necessary resource that they need to go to so that we can continue to do our job without feeling drained.
Yeah. No, as I'm listening, you're in what you do for a living, what I do for a living is one thing, but we're practitioners of something that is very profound. It's very, very personal. It can be spiritual. So if we're not conscious of the language that we use as we talk about it, it can unsettle people. It can confuse them. So you like me, we try to, how do we translate the language without compromising on the integrity of the discipline? And when, like you were saying, oh, what we could do when we use the word vibes, there's something that I just love everybody can relate to that. And that's just a safer word or a simpler word for energy or, consciousness. Right. I love the vibes. And when they talk about the vibes, they're going beyond what they see in the physical environment. There's that energy exchange. And to the degree we understand it, like you said, we can set that as an intention with more consciousness. And that's almost like the gift with purchase that a client receives. And so that's what I found most interesting, even when you use the word ritual, to go, oh, if rituals throws you off, what about rhythm? Process. Yep. What's your chairside manner is? Oh, is that what you're talking? Yes. And it makes it safer for them. So, I love how that works. Now, I remember chatting with you, and you said you had a special way of how this kind of finds itself in the consultation. And you had some interesting language around that. Share with my community what you shared with me, because I found that to be very, very, not just interesting, but inspiring.
Yeah. So, in our consultation, we really we'll go into of what their intention is for the session, but also if there's anything, that's happening in their personal life that they're working through. We will also, ask them questions like, what is it that you want to evoke as your true self? If you could have people perceive you the way that you want to be seen, what would that look like? Which is, I think, not a normal consultation question.
Right.
But sometimes it is getting down to, to the feelers of, how do you want to feel with this haircut? How do you want to feel after this haircut? And that's, that's the biggest thing with the intention setting.
Yeah.
Is, how to make people feel beautiful.
Right. Yeah. It's looking beautiful. And then there's this feeling, and it's almost like the gift with purchase, right? People can't, the closest they can say is, I love the vibe, right? I love the energy. So, I know it's been a long day for you. I don't want to keep it too much longer, but how does, as this is finding itself in your culture and the experience that clients are having, how is it serving your people that, beyond that I pick up this consciousness when I go to work, but I'm bringing some of this back into my personal life? Are you engaging in your people in those conversations, whether it's in their PDMs or whatever that is? And if so, what's that like?
Yeah, definitely. I think that it is, when you have that consistency, it can't help but translate into personal lives too. And, with our culture, we really are big on, our team calls them extracurricular activities, but we connect a lot outside of work, and we do a lot of workshops based around this work. And, so I think that is one thing that they never realized. And really it becomes like a sense of buy-in, where our folks are invested in maintaining our vibe, and they want to protect that, and they want it to feel good, not only for their clients, but they understand that when their clients feel good, we all feel good too. It's just, it's an uplifting energy for everyone, to where you want to come to work and it feels good, and then, realizing that between each client, we have to take a breath. We have to, do a couple deep breaths. I always encourage my team after each person to go and wash their hands, and beyond a, hygienic purpose of, like rinsing, I am letting go of what does not belong to me, and releasing in between each client, and, incorporating essential oils if you need to, and, just really taking care. I think that is something that, I see the beauty industry morphing into almost beauty and wellness. And, we're starting to have more and more conversations around this. And, I think as one of the last standing human-based businesses, that's going to be incredibly important, especially during these times when, so many folks are going through transitions and challenges, and how we can best show up for them by showing up for ourselves and taking care of ourselves and the work that we do.
Yeah.
And I think that's really, I think that's going to be a continuing trend through this.
Yeah. No, I love the golden nugget of our few minutes together tonight. What is, to me, beauty and wellness. That they're really, that beauty and wellness isn't a 1 + 1 is 2. It really is more, probably, 2 to the 5th, 2 to the 6th power. So when you're able, and mindfulness is kind of a mental, emotional wellness. And I loved how simple it would be. It's one of those blinding flashes of the obvious when you, in between clients, as you go into, the bathroom, put more intention that when you're washing your hands, you're just not washing your hands, you're washing energy that you had from, so that when you show up for our next client, we show up with fresh energy, presence, true self, whatever we want to call that. And I think that if somebody were to incorporate that into their, 5, 6, 7 times a day, what kind of a difference could that make for me by the time I'm on the back end of the day? When somebody said, "How'd your day go?" My hunch is I would be sharing a subtle but profoundly different experience.
Yeah. And I think even just because it enriches your client interactions at that point too, because, sometimes I think we get so caught up where we're back to back, and, you're kind of bleeding in between each person, and then you may not have a positive interaction with one client, and then that goes into the next of like, oh my gosh, I'm still trying to shake off that, that experience, versus, fully being present for your guests that are coming in, being able to enrich their experience, where they really feel like, you're giving them your fullness.
I love it. I want to, I want to bring this conversation to a close, but ask you if you'd be open to coming back for an encore where you and I can stand on the shoulders of what we talked about tonight, because I think those little examples, 2 or 3 of those, it's very safe, simple. It's not a deep practice, but there's something about, whoa, I'm now, I heard this wonderful definition of mindfulness on my from one of my teachers. I'm actually pulling it up now. There's something about mindfulness is a gloriously simple mind hack that helps us to, unpack, untangle our own mental stress and recover our ability to show up fresh with presence as we kind of take the ride through the day. And I went, oh my God, I've never heard something that practical and simple. But I think that's what this conversation is about. And I would just love it if you and I could show up on occasion and talk about this, because I think it's fresh and I think it's really needed.
I agree. Yeah. And I'm happy to. And if anyone, wants to connect after, please feel free. I'm always happy to do so.
Yes, I put your handle on, and then when we say goodbye to you, I'll go back and get the handle back on again on your Instagram so people can DM you. So listen, I know it's been a long day for you. Thank you very much for dropping in on us this evening for a short chat, and I really enjoyed it. And Godspeed, and stay on the beam.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you again for just being so patient with me tonight.
No worries. It was wonderful. We're going to give it up for Nellie Davis one more time. I'll let you get on with your night, my friend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Okay. Very delightful. What I thought I would do is put her her Instagram handle on, so that if you want to follow up and have some questions with her. I love the energy, and it's where we're going with our mindfulness conversations, our mindfulness training that we're doing on Top 20 Mental Wellness. That's why I wanted her on. But her handle on Instagram is real simple. It's Outsider's Hair. And so if you want to pick up on that, you can. And like I said, we'll have her back for an encore as well. So let's give it up to Nellie Davis, one more time. What I wanted to do was just what we'll do, if you're new to the conversation, this is Michael Cole, Millionaire Stylist on Facebook. We will be taking tonight's interview and we'll put that on a kind of cook it down to a micro learning on the same handle, but on Instagram. So if you're and if you go on the Instagram IGTV, you'll see probably a 5-minute kind of curated down conversation of that. And again, this is all compliments of L'Oreal PPD. So please take us up on that as well. If you're new to the community, make sure that set up a complimentary online consultation. So with one of our coaches, so our coaches can really kind of first of all get to know you and see what it is where you're going in your business, and see if we can help to get you there more, better, faster. That as you explore. Get to know us more. We've got now from our the fuel, if you will, the sponsorship that we enjoy and appreciate from L'Oreal. We have now taken a kind of gamified artificial intelligence, if you will, on our calculators, where we call one of them, it was actually an inspiration by Randy Kunkel, Dream Machine, setting a very high 6-figure goal, and the Dream Machine, the artificial intelligence, breaks it all the way down to what your average day would need to be, and depending on how many clients you're serving for the day, it'll even give you your average ticket. So, and it's gamified, so we tried to make it safe and simple and fun. We've got another calculator called Magic Day Calc, where sometimes it's finding out what I absolutely need in order to just, I'm going to call it, maintain and survive. And the AI, the artificial intelligence, breaks it down to what your day would need to be for, we'll call it your break even, And then the dream machine is, okay, the dream machine is, here's the goal that I want to hit if I want to be, rich and terribly happy. And magic day is, this is what I need to really keep the lights on in my house. And so it's a great calc. And then the idea is not only to get you to a higher income, but have something to show for it. So we have something called Golden Goose. And it's a compound interest calc that is, the idea is if we can get you to high income, to motivate you and encourage you to save a larger percentage of your income. At first it's a few bucks, and then it gets to 5%, and then at 6, 7, 8%. But we know that if you can get to a place where you're saving substantially for something long term, you can become a millionaire. Before you're halfway through, your career. And we've got a calculator that's kind of driven by some simple artificial intelligence called the Golden Goose Calc. And then last but not least, we have a debt-free we believe that when you're debt-free, you're half rich. So this particular calculator has algorithms and artificial intelligence built into it to show you how to organize your personal debt so that you can get out of debt more, better, faster. And that's all compliments, you guys, of L'Oreal. So take advantage of their offering. There's thousands and thousands of people that we serve that are served by this as well. So I'll leave that to you. I always like to end with thanking L'Oreal Salon Emotions for powering us and sponsoring us. These are all of L'Oreal's brands: BioLives, Pulp Riot, Kerastase, Pureology, L'Oreal Professional, Redken, Matrix, Shoe, Mazzani, and of course Salon Emotion is the education brand now. So thank you to them and express your gratitude, and to the degree that you support their brands, we can continue to bring that to you. So thank you very much for hanging, and we will pick up where we left off next Monday. Monday's Labor Day, but next Thursday we'll have another guest to pick up where we left off. So have a great evening, and I'll see you all soon.